Two Knicks Chicks family, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef. Lots to go over. The Knicks just round up their West Coast road trip. They went 2-2, so not too bad. I don't remember what my predictions were, but I feel like I had the Knicks at 2-2, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty much what I thought they would finish at anyway. But lots to talk about with the Knicks. I want to start back and recap on the Knicks game that they played Monday against Sacramento. The Knicks did pull out a win, 104 to 133. I thought that was a good game by the Knicks. I thought that was a really good game by the Knicks. The Knicks played every quarter very well. Second quarter, both teams both scored 29, but the first quarter, the Knicks started off with a bang. They came out with good energy, 22 to 37. Third quarter, the Knicks outscored Sacramento again, 26 to 37. And then in the fourth quarter, same thing. The Knicks outscored Sacramento again, 27 to 30. And then I think even before you dig deep into the stats, what's even more impressive, at least for me, is that the Knicks has 6 guys in double figures. OG Anunoby finished with 24 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Josh Hart finished with 18 points, 6 rebounds. Cat finished with 26 points, 9 rebounds. Mikal Bridges had a pretty solid game with 15 points, 8 assists. Deuce McBride had 21.7 assists. And Landry Shamet had a nice game with 13 points. Campaign finished with 6. And then everyone pretty much played except I don't even know who didn't play. Honestly, it looks like everybody damn near played on the team. But I think what really stands out for me is that if you look at the assists, they were very high for a lot of guys on the team. OG had 8. Bridges had 8. Deuce had 7. Cameron Payne had 3. Cat had 3. Josh Hart had 3. The Knicks were moving the ball. Somehow, and I think what's even more impressive for me is the fact that I was just saying how the Knicks offense has been looking very stagnant. And the Knicks actually were moving without the ball. They were making the extra pass at times. And I just thought the offense looked really, really good. Field goal percentage, the Knicks was at 53%. They were 22 for 40 at 55% from the three-point line. They were 21 for 26 at the free throw line. They out-rebounded Sacramento 40 to 37. The Knicks finished with 34 assists, where Sacramento only had 18. 34 assists. They had 13 steals. 15 turnovers, which is a bit high, but still, I thought that Monday's game was a solid game by the Knicks. I just felt like they had control from the jump ball. To me, I was like, you didn't nowhere in that game that I think the Knicks needed Jalen Brunson. I thought the Knicks played absolutely fantastic on Monday. That to me was team basketball. That to me showed if the Knicks can be like this on a consistent basis, the Knicks will be okay. I even thought the defense looked pretty good. I liked, preferably from what I saw in yesterday's game and Monday's game, I prefer to see Bridges bringing up the ball. Just seems to be a bit more control. But I thought Monday's game was a solid game. And like I said, what stood out for me from that game and yesterday's game was the Knicks just moving so freely. The offense looking so, it was spaced out. The ball was moving well. Guys were moving without the basket, cutting to the basket, making nice, crisp chest passes, bounce. But like, it just looked, it's funny how they can do that when you don't have, you don't have Jalen Brunson who could come back the next game or who could come back in the third quarter and come in and be clutch in the fourth quarter and help you out. I don't know what's gotten into them, but somehow the offense looks really good. It looks really smooth. I was like really impressed with what I saw. So, listen, if the Knicks can figure out how to do this, and now when Jalen Brunson comes back, because I don't want him to rush back. Take your time. You're gonna need him in the playoffs. But if the Knicks can figure out how to continue to play like this, along with stepping up the defense, the Knicks will be okay. They'll be able to win games. I mean, and granted, these are two games that the Knicks should win. You're playing against Sacramento, who struggled this season. And then you just beat Portland yesterday, barely, 113 to 114. The Knicks barely won that game. I thought that was a good game as well, but the Knicks let that third quarter get away from them. They outscored Portland first quarter 26 to 21. Second quarter, Portland outbeat the Knicks 25 to 22. Same thing in the third quarter. They scored the Knicks 31 to 29. And in the fourth quarter, both teams scored 29. And then this game also had an overtime. So Deuce was guarding Scoot. I didn't like that matchup with Deuce McBride guarding Scoot Henderson. I thought him, Deuce, and Shamit kept playing along the side, and they were playing like hip defense. Wasn't a fan of that. So Deuce fouled Scoot, and then I don't remember if Scoot hit free throws or what it was, or they got the ball back somehow. I think what's his name? Mitchell Robinson fouled. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson fouled. And I believe that was on the next play. But Deuce fouled Scoot. Then Deuce came back down, hit a 2, redeemed himself. Much needed to, might I add, excuse me. And then Deuce fouled Scoot again. But I think the second time it was called on Mitchell Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. He was trying to help him out. Then they get the ball back. Then Josh fouls Denny. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. He knocks down the 2 free throws. And now I'm like, how did the Knicks get there? But it's like I said, Portland came back in the third. The Knicks had a collapse. They scored 31. The Knicks only scored 29. Fourth quarter, both teams scored 29. The Knicks they had a collapse in the third and the fourth quarter, because that game became a back and forth game after that, after the third quarter. Which is a shame. But Deuce, sorry about that. Deuce, he fouled Scoot. I said I didn't like that matchup, right? Then now we're down to, I don't know, was it 1.6 seconds? I want to say it was. Mikal Bridges takes the ball out. I thought that was a good idea, actually. Instead of having him coming off of a curl, a pick. Josh Hart gives him the ball, sets him. I thought that was a beautiful screen. It was a strong screen. It was a solid screen. He didn't move. I like that. And then Mikal Bridges goes at the top of the key, gravitates in the air, and knocks down the 3, a much needed 3. Knicks won. No time left. I thought not only was that a good clean look and a shot, but I thought that was a good play drawn up by Tibbs. Because it's like a rare case. It looks like the Knicks has a play drawn out in games. I'm just being honest. And it was also refreshing to see someone else take the three or the last shot besides Brunson. Now, we did see OG Anunoby do it, but I also think on top of that, it was nice to see Mikal look so comfortable and at ease. He looked like he was still playing with Brooklyn the way he played yesterday. And I would even say Monday, but especially yesterday, I thought that he played really, really well. He looked just like relaxed, like a weight was lifted off of his shoulder. I don't know what it was. He just looked like he was just in a groove, because when OG went down with the foot injury, we were like, at least I'll speak for me. I was hoping Mikal would have, you know, entered the chat, woke up, stepped up while he was going. And he's had his roller coaster year with the Knicks and his first year with the Knicks, and he's been a bit up and down. But I thought yesterday's game, he came out to play. He came out to play. He had 33 points. Cat had a nice game. He was aggressive, driving, knocking down key three-pointers as well. His defense, I thought, was pretty solid. He finished with 21 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds. Josh Hart was 1 assist shy of a triple-double, which he got a triple-double last time. No, that was against Sacramento, not when we played Portland. But he finished with 11 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. And OG Anunoby, another good game from him. He had 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Landry Shamet, who Tibbs has been giving minutes. He's been getting minutes past couple of months. He finished with 6 points. Cameron Payne had 6 points, and Mitchell Robinson had 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And I feel like one of Mitchell Robinson's basket was like a key basket. So, as well as good defense and good rebounding for the Knicks. The Knicks was at 46% field goal percentage, 3-pointers. They were 12 for 31, so they weren't exactly knocking them down like they did on Monday. And same thing with the free throws. This is something I keep saying. I feel like it's going to haunt the Knicks in the playoffs. The Knicks were 14 for 20 from the free throw line. And they've had these games throughout the season where they've missed 6 or more free throws in a game. The Knicks completely got out-rebounded, 52 to 38. They did do well with the assists. They had 27 assists, 7 blocks, 12 steals, 15 turnovers again. But the points in the paint spoke volumes as well. I love when the Knicks outbeat a team in points in the paint, 58 to 44. I love it. I thought the Knicks, again, I'm happy that the Knicks also finished out the road trip with 2 wins, and they didn't completely allow the West Coast to get, a hold of them, and then they just didn't win any games. So I'm happy they did finish off and win some games. And I think that Saturday's game is a key one. I would like to see them win that game as well. They have a nice break. They don't play again till Saturday. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Knicks do and taking advantage of getting revenge on the Warriors, who, pretty much was off, and somehow Curry and the gang was able to come back in that game. I mean, granted, they've been playing well since they've gotten Jimmy Butler, but still, I want to see the Knicks beat teams that they should be beating. Like, the Warriors have been struggling. They haven't exactly been playing well. So yeah, I'll be tuned into that game on Saturday, and seeing what the Knicks do. But I don't know. I feel like, to recap those 2 games, I feel like the Knicks have been playing, the offense looks very fluid. The Knicks look very like they're ready to run and gun against teams. And I don't want to get too excited, because I want to see the Knicks play like this the way they played yesterday and on Monday. I want to see them do this against teams that they've struggled to beat. Like, it's cool when you do it against teams who are struggling themselves and they haven't been able to win games. That's one thing. But I would like to see this side of the offense being ran against teams like Cleveland and Boston, OKC, that the Knicks have had trouble against this season. But I really liked what I saw from the offense. And I'm really hoping to see that, to be honest, um, moving forward in the remainder of this season. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how you guys are feeling about the Knicks offense without Jalen Brunson. The offense to me looks, honestly, it looks quite good without Brunson there, which is something that the Knicks need to prove that they can play without Brunson. How many times in the past, just with Tibbs giving him some time to catch his breath and rest, the Knicks blow leads, guys are stagnant. It's, what I noticed too with the Knicks, they weren't so focused on just watching. I feel like when they have Jalen on the floor, guys are watching to like kind of be in the background and assist Brunson, and almost like, well, I'm gonna let him go to work, and then if I need to step in, I'm paying attention, I'm ready to step in if need be. So I think not having Brunson there, the ball seems to move a lot freer. Like, I was so impressed. Even when Mitch got the ball, Cat, they were like kicking it out. The ball was moving 3, 4, 5. The unselfish play. The Knicks need to continue to do that. Like, I don't want to see them run away from that. This is what I've been saying about the Knicks. They have a bad habit of, they revert from what works for them. So you utilize it on Monday. You utilized it yesterday. I don't want to see Saturday. It's a different story. Like, continue to utilize the offense like this unselfish basketball, the ball movement, guys moving without the ball, cutting. It was so refreshing not to see guys camped out either at the top of the key or at the angle of the perimeter line. It was so nice not to see guys just kind of waiting and watching one guy go to work. I mean, everybody stepped up and was just so engaged in the game and really just making contributions, being an asset while they were on the floor. Not just, I mean, even down to Shamit. Everybody was locked in. Everybody was making an extra pass, looking out for who's open, crashing the boards, getting rebounds. Like, this is what I want to see from the Knicks. And I hope that if they continue to keep it on, because Brunson's not gonna get reevaluated until 2 weeks, that they keep playing like this so that when he comes back, then he can just, okay, ease your way into what's going on. Don't go move away from that ball movement once he gets back. That's just dumb. But I really like what I'm seeing from the Knicks and the way that they're playing. I mean, just the way everybody's locked in. I'm like, yo, keep that up. Keep playing like that. Because that's how the Knicks gotta play. And speaking of Brunson, I know I just brought him up. I don't think he gets reevaluated. I believe it's supposed to be next Friday, the 21st. So we'll see. Here's my thing with Brunson, as far as the injury report goes. Don't rush him back. I think this team needs to figure out how to get wins under their belt without Brunson. And not because he's the end all be all, but they need to figure things out without your clutch player, without your A1 number one option on the floor. I think other guys, Mikal is specifically, Deuce specifically, Shamit, the guys on the bench, Precious. I think that they need to wake up when you don't have your number one option on the floor. You don't have Brunson, okay, now you got to figure it out. It's going to take a collective team effort, and hopefully that collective team effort, energy, and building that they established, now you could implement that now with Brunson there as well. And then he can sit on the sidelines or while he's at home or on the bench, and he can watch and see how he can improve his game and what he could bring to the table. So again, and with, as far as bringing up the ball, I like Bridges bringing up the ball more than I like Deuce bringing up the ball. It just, Mikal is a bit more patient in his decisions, and I just feel like he has a lot more control. It's no knock to Deuce. I think Deuce is more than capable, but I would like Deuce to be the backup point guard and have Mikal bringing up the ball. But I listen. I really don't have any major complaints. Sure, got a little sloppy um, in the Sacramento game at one point in the third quarter, and then same thing with Portland because they were able to come back. That those kind of things can't happen, and I think that's something that the Knicks have to really try to own in on. Like the remaining last half of this season is like cleaning up a lot of the little mistakes that they still make. Like you gotta tighten up. They gotta tighten up. It was certain little things that like Josh Hart. Like, why would you make that foul? Sometimes Josh does things and then he knew he made a mistake too. He didn't even try to argue it. You know, Josh always has commentary for the ref. He didn't even try to argue it because I think he was just like, yeah, no, I was mad. Like, why? You know what I mean? He's like, sometimes he makes me scratch my head. I'm like, why does he do the things that he do? But nonetheless, a win is a win. The Knicks were able to finish off the majority of that West Coast road trip 2-2. But again, I'm hoping they could go 3-2 and beat the Warriors on Saturday. So I want to see them get revenge. I want to see this new revived offense. I want to see how the guys on the bench, how they've been playing. I want to see this on Saturday. I want to see them do what they was doing on Monday and yesterday. I want to see that on Saturday and moving forward. So looking forward to that. And seeing what, the Knicks do. I want to talk about, I'm sure you guys have heard, or those of you who haven't heard, Mikal Bridges speaking up to Tom Thibodeau. And why I think that that's a good thing. Mikal Bridges, first of all, I'm happy that he had a good game on Monday, and I'm happy that he had a good game on yesterday, Wednesday. Even if he didn't have a bad game, if he didn't have a good game, excuse me, I think that his conversation with Tom Thibodeau is still a good thing. But I think having two good games leading up to that conversation, prior to that conversation, helped him, right? And I say that because unfortunately, in the past, we've seen it happen where the Knicks have had players who've spoken up to the press, to the media. Leon, Tibbs, they don't like that. You got something to say? You're out of here. Well, you know what? Matter of fact, go say it on the bench. So I don't see that happening in this case with Mikal. The Knicks sort out getting him. And I also don't say that because he's had a roller coaster season. I don't think he's hit his peak yet. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. But I think Mikal speaking up to Tom Thibodeau was needed. And I think that sometimes you have to check people, right? I don't care if you're stuck in your ways or not. Like I'm gonna talk to you, man to man. I'm gonna talk to you. Like your way, we don't need to do it that way. I'm not trying to take over this team. I'm just telling you that way, chill. Mikal Bridges asked Tom Thibodeau pretty much to back off a little bit on the starters' minutes. He said, and I quote, "Sometimes it's not fun on the body. We've got a good enough team to where our bench guys can come in and we don't need to play 48 minutes, 47 minutes. We've got a lot of good guys on this team that can take away minutes, which helps the defense, helps the offense, helps tired bodies being out there and giving up all these points. It just helps keeping fresh bodies out there," end quote. Mikal was asked what was Tom Thibodeau's response. And Mikal said Tibbs was receptive. He said, but, and I quote, "sometimes I think he just gets in his ways." I think he's not arguing about it. Sometimes I think he just gets in his ways and he gets locked in. He just wants to keep the guy out there. Sometimes you got to tell him, like Landry, for example, or somebody, keep him out there. They're playing well. Now, this is what I'm saying to y'all. And I think a lot of you in the chat could agree. Shout out to the replay gang and shout out to y'all in the chat as well. You guys have a good lineup, by the way. Kicking it off with two Knicks chicks. The Nick of Time is coming on at 8. Shout out to the Nick of Time show. And then you got Dope Soul Sports Talk coming on at 9 with Steph, Jeff. I think Jeff is gonna be out today, but shout out to Jeff Clafter, Ajay, and Jarrell. Shout out to you both as well. So it's a good Thursday lineup, right? And shout out to anybody else who comes on. Uncle Freezy, I'm sure he'll be on too at some point, if not tonight, but in the morning. I've been saying this about Tom Thibodeau, where Tibbs is stuck in his own ways, right? He's not a modern coach. He's an old school coach. And I think with him being stuck in his ways, a lot of times with Tom, he don't really like trying different things. Like, I'm not, that's not how I get down. This is how I coach. But in this regard, I don't think Mikal is telling Tibbs how to coach. I think he's just like, you have more than capable guys who have more than enough potential, who are good players, who you can put in, and you don't have to play me, Josh Hart, Cat, OG. You don't gotta play us 45, almost damn near 50 minutes a night. That's pretty much what Mikal is saying. I'm not trying to tell you how to coach, Tibbs, but you don't gotta play us. And yeah, I'm gonna speak up for Josh Hart. Not that he needs him to, and I know Josh said he encourages more minutes, but the problem with playing guys all these minutes, and I've said this before as well, when the Knicks get to the playoffs, even if you have a healthy squad, right? Knocking on the wood for guys to stay healthy. You have a healthy squad in the playoffs. The Knicks were so tired. They were losing gas. They were so gassed last year that they looked like they barely could catch their breath to be able to run up and down the court. The fatigue from playing the regular season, you get to the playoffs, it's a different animal. We all know that. But how many times have we watched games where the Knicks have been up by 25, damn near 30 points, with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you still see Brunson out there, you'll see Bridges out there, sometimes you'll see OG, you'll see Cat, and you're like, why? And then he likes to bring in the C squad, Kolick and the gang, and he likes to bring them in with about 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 50. Why? Maybe 3 minutes. But is that necessary? So I feel like what a lot of us have been feeling, I feel like what a lot of us have been saying, and I've said this before, this is not a fire Tibbs. I think Tibbs is working with what he has, but he has more than enough to work with. Are the Knicks missing some pieces? Absolutely. But there's no excuse from his end either. And some of the things he do are inexcusable. And this is not a bash Tibbs segment either. I think Tibbs does what he does best. He takes teams that are down at the bottom and he brings them to a playoff caliber winning team. I think him, along with the front office, have done a fantastic job bringing his team up from booze and pathetic to it's fun to watch them now. It's fun to watch games now. It's fun to rep your New York gear and jerseys and fitteds and all of that. But I think that Tom Thibodeau playing most of the starters 45 plus minutes every night. I think even if you lose it, like at what point do you say, you know what, I'm gonna pull them out. Next game's another game. Take your L and move on. We're getting to the end of the season. We're getting to the end of the season. I don't think you need to play Josh Hart, OG, Cat, Bridges, Brunson. I don't think that they need to be playing 47, 48 minutes, 43 minutes every night. Some nights you could do maybe 37. Switch it up. Maybe if you play the guy 45, 44, maybe play him 38 minutes. Switch it up. But again, this is coming from Mikal saying what he spoke to Tibbs and Tibbs' response. I'm not making this up. This is what happened. I'm going to repeat it for those of you who joined in a little late. Mikal Bridges was asked what was Tibbs' response to his comments to Tibbs about wanting him to back off a bit on the starters' minutes. Mikal said Tibbs was receptive, but sometimes I think he just gets in his ways. I think he's not arguing about it. Sometimes I think he just gets in his ways and he gets locked in. He just wants to keep the guy out there. Sometimes you got to tell him, like Landry, for example, or somebody, keep him out there. They're playing well. And that's another thing. If a guy has a hot hand, why are you sitting him? Why? I'm not looking for a perfect coach, but I think that sometimes, well, I think all the time, the head of the leadership of any sports team starts with the coach. Before you could even get to a captain, it starts with the coach. So it's your decisions, your calls, what you expect, what you want ran, what you don't want to see, and then it trickles down to the players. And it takes being receptive and open to players' feedbacks, assistant coaches' feedbacks, film, and using that as feedback to make your changes, make your adjustments. Bridges went on to say the workload isn't easy, referring to playing on the Knicks. This is his first season, first year with the Knicks. He said, and I quote, I think it's something you never really get used to. Your body's going to feel how it is every year. But I've been a part of it for a while, knowing how to take care of my body through these situations and just trying to do as much as I can. So I don't think he's complaining. Mikal Bridges is not complaining. He's not unhappy. He knows what he needs to do. I think he's using his basketball IQ. He's been in this league for some time now, and he's like, listen, we can go far. We can go further if we manage the minutes some. Like, you don't got to keep us at such a heavy load, us meaning the starters, at a heavy load, when we have good enough guys on our bench who could come in and step up to the plate and fulfill their job. This bench is definitely more than capable. And they've been on the up and up as of late. Plus, they need to learn. The bench needs to learn that when they come in, you're not the C squad. When you come in, do your job, know your role, do your job, and fulfill your role, and keep up with whatever the starters was doing. Or hell, give us a spark if they're not doing their job. Set the tone. So, again, leadership doesn't just have to come from the captain. You've been in this league long enough. And also, if we're supposed to be a family, we winning and things, why can't I speak up? I'm supposed to be quiet? I don't think he was bitching and complaining. It's not a complaint. But he's observant for when he is in the bench. I'm sure when he's watching a film and he's like, yo, we don't need to play that many minutes. Not every night. Like some nights, if you got a guy like Shammer, you got a guy like Deuce, leave them in, give them the minutes. Because hell, I'm off. He know he been off. You let him play a little, and not that Tibbs is going to necessarily sit Bridges down. He's not going to sit him down. Just sit him out all game. No. And that's not what Mikal is asking for, but I agree with him. I agree with that entire conversation. I thought that was a good thing, him speaking up. I don't think he's complaining. I think he's just like, I'm looking at it he's playing the long game. I'm looking at it in the long run. We still got a lot of basketball left to play. He's looking at it like, I don't want us to be a one and done in the first round. I don't want us to lose gas in the second round. I'm trying to play smarter. He also did mention Mikal Bridges. He said, and I quote, I think there's a lot more I can still show. I think that goes within it a lot. Things that are systematic or our schemes offensively and stuff, just trying to find the right situations and trying to make the right read every time I get a chance. So he's very much aware of what he needs to improve on and what he needs to do. He's aware. He knows what he needs to do. He knows what he needs to improve on. He knows that he hasn't been given what the Knicks were hoping for when they brought him here and gave up all those picks. He knows. He knows. I think we just got to still give him grace. Because when I look at Mikal Bridges and what he can do and what we've seen him do in Phoenix and in Brooklyn, and hell, what was that, Christmas Day for the Knicks and several other games, Mikal may be clutch for this team in the playoffs. He may end up being an X factor. I say that with Deuce McBride as well. It could be Josh Hart. It could be any guys given. The Knicks have so many weapons. They have so many options they can go to. But I think with Mikal, he can definitely give the Knicks the much needed boost that they may need. So I'm continuing to give him grace. I'm not going to beat up on a guy. And yeah, I think that guys know what it is playing with Tibbs and playing a lot of minutes. It is what it is. But I think that him speaking up and saying something to Tibbs wasn't coming from a complaintive angle. Sometimes coaches need to hear that, and Tibbs is one of them. Knicks play next game Saturday, 8:30 p.m. They play the Warriors. In the Bay. So another away game that I believe this wraps up. Yeah, it does. It wraps up their West Coast road trip. I'm looking for the Knicks to get that win. And then the Knicks don't play again till Monday. They'll be playing Miami Monday, and then they play the Spurs Wednesday. Then they play Charlotte Thursday, so they'll have a back-to-back, and then they play again on Saturday. So they got a pretty a pretty solid schedule next week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then again Saturday. I won't give my predictions until Sunday for next week. So I'll come back. I'll give my predictions on that. And we'll see what the Knicks do. The Knicks have what? 17 more games. They're still sitting comfortably in third. They are 42 and 33. Celtics are 47 and 19. And then Milwaukee's in fourth. Well, Milwaukee and Indiana, they've been neck and neck. They're both 36 and 28. So the Knicks just got to keep winning games. This way they stay in that third seed. I don't see them moving from that third seed, but yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Um, Let me say what's up to the chat. Wonder Woman, salute to you. Always joining me. Hope all is well with you. Paula Bonner, salute to you as well. Space Ghost, salute to you. Said cardiac Knicks have us in a defibrillator. Yeah. The Knicks, I think that's what makes watching Knicks games very entertaining, right? Because you could watch a Knicks game and it's going to be so back and forth. It's going to come down to the wire or overtime. And even the overtime may come down to the wire. The Knicks are known to do that. That's just what they do. That's part of their identity. Ola said he actually drew up a play, a real basketball play. Yeah. You see what I mean? And that's why I'm like, it's not just me. A lot of people were shocked. They were like, wow, Tibbs, that was a nice play. Instead of having Mikal running off a curl off a screen, have him take it out, I thought that was a really good play. Really, really good play. Space Ghost said it would be nice to come out 3-2 for this road trip. I agree. I would like to see the Knicks get their revenge against the Warriors and finish off the road trip 3-2. Love the ball movement. Same. The ball movement was everything the last two games. The Knicks just cutting to the basket. Everybody was so locked in. Even the bench came in and it was like they didn't miss a beat. I just love the way the Knicks stayed poised. They were just after it. They stayed aggressive. I mean, just gritty. This is what I want to see from the Knicks on a consistent basis. PJ Tucker has been a godsend to keep the Knicks, to keep the team focused. You think so? Because he like just got here. So you feel like he's making an impact this soon? I'm curious. And who knows? Maybe he is. I don't know, but maybe he is in that locker room. Maybe he is talking to guys. I mean, I saw him up celebrating. Everybody got off that bench when Mikal hit that last minute shot. So MBM, salute to you. MBM said that conversation should have never been public. People wanted Bridges out of here 4 games ago. Now he's the man. Please, the captain takes the beef to the coach, my opinion. But if my thing is, what if Jalen Brunson hasn't said that to Tibbs? What if he hasn't brought that up to Tibbs? Or what if that's not, Jalen Brunson's personality to go and feel like, yo, I'm gonna say something about the minutes. He may not, maybe he don't feel like that. Everybody's different. And I agree. Maybe the conversation shouldn't have been public, but as when you in the limelight, whether you in sports, entertainment, movies, whatever, somehow things are gonna leak and it's gonna get to the press. Internet's very powerful. People are gonna know. But Bolabana said he's right. You can't play defense when you are tired, then back to offense. Yeah. And not only that, Mikal has one of the hardest jobs. He's having to guard whoever's that top player on the opposing team. Him and OG Anunoby have a tough job. And lately it's been Deuce McBride as well. Even though I noticed in yesterday's game, Deuce was on Scoot Henderson. And then at one point it looked like Tibbs switched and had Josh Hart on him. But I don't know. I just felt like nobody was a matchup for him. Scoot was just having his night, which is a problem for the Knicks. Because usually we have that one guy who just has their way. They impose their will. But I think with the Knicks moving the ball, the Knicks making the extra unselfish passes, it makes the defense have to work. versus the defense just kind of knowing that they just got to see the ball, see their man, but I'm really watching to maybe help or look for Brunson to kick the ball out because I know the offense is mainly going to go through Jalen Brunson. So not having him there, now guys got to be like, okay, well, everybody's being a threat. They're playing their role. They're doing their job. So, yeah. But, Nick Yak Salute said, what a great inbound play Tom drew up for Bridges. Absolutely. I thought that was a really good play. I thought it was nice to see a play ran. It was also refreshing to see someone else take the last shot and be clutch aside from Brunson. So we've seen OG Anunoby do it. We've seen Mikal. This is what we want to see. If he needs to kick, Brunson needs to kick that ball out. I want to know that we got other guys on this team, which we know can, but I want to see them do it. Be clutch. Hit those last second shots. End the games for us. When the games are on the line, I want to see OG, Mikal. I don't even mind seeing Deuce take the last shot. I believe we are taking it out of context. He was vouching for the bench players more than a minute. Yeah, he was. I mentioned that he was trying to let Tibbs know, or it wasn't to come across as if he was complaining because the Knicks have had that issue with players in the past, but rather saying, um, we have guys here who are good players where I see the potentials there. They're going to get better. Utilize them. You can give them the minutes. You can give them a little bit more minutes and you don't have to play us 47, 48 minutes. You can shave off 2-3 minutes from some of us and give it to the bench. And I agree. The bench should be in games. The bench should be in the games more than 2-3 minutes. They got to learn. They got to be prepared to come in and step up. And this is the time. You don't have Brunson there. This is time for the team to really figure out their identity and come together and figure out how to play better together. Figure out how to move that ball and play unselfish basketball on a consistent basis. Wonder Woman said, I'm glad it was one of the starters that spoke up. Me too. Me too. And you know what? Like I said, I think that conversation was a much needed conversation. Maybe should not have gone public? No, but I think it's a conversation that should have been had. Like I said, I'm also looking at it like Mikel's looking at it. He's playing the long game. Like he's like, all right. Because I see when he's on that bench, Mikel's really, he be at the edge of his seat looking with his towel in his hand, looking like, all right, I'm looking at what's going on here. And I think for him, he's like, yo, we don't gotta play, switch it up. Like, I don't gotta play 48 minutes. Josh don't gotta play 45, 46 minutes. Not every night. Like some nights I could do 40. He could do, you know what I mean? OG, maybe give him 39, 40 minutes, especially if it's a game you win and you got it on lock. And like he said, if it's a case where you have a guy on the bench, you have a Deuce McBride, you have a Shamit, you have a Payne, and they're on fire, he's basically telling Tibbs, leave them in. Leave the hot hand in. Last 3 years, Knicks finished the season winning 70% of their games. Does that sound like running on empty? Yeah, the Knicks won 70% of their games. But then when the Knicks get to the playoffs, they start running on empty. When they get to the next round, and the next round, it's like the Hunger Games. The further along you go, it gets harder. And they start running on empty. And not just from injuries and they're tired. I agree. I love winning. And I'm a Knicks fan for life. Same. Paul Obama said, yes, they are missing pieces, but there's more than enough talent on this team where coaching comes in play. Agreed. That's why I'm a component for playing the bench and playing certain guys that are clearly not going to get the playing time, but it's good for them to get in real live game situations and to make the mistakes and to learn. And I always say this, the Knicks need to learn from last year when we had a serious injury problem and we had a lot of man down situation. If you play guys like Kolek and try to give him, he don't need a ton of minutes, but allow him to play in games aside from G League and practice. And, Tibbs was starting to give Huck Porty minutes. You got to allow them to play in these games against other NBA opponents. So this way they can get the real in-game situation, real live game situations to be able to make mistakes in a game. This way other guys on the team can help them and walk them through and coach them through and, keep encouraging them. That's what the Knicks need. You got to be prepared. The Knicks were very lucky that last season Jalen Brunson was very healthy. But you have to be prepared. And this why I think not only was it a good thing Mikal speaking up about the minutes and allowing the bench players to get some minutes. I think it's good that Jalen Brunson is out to a degree. This team needs to learn how to play without him on this floor. Cut Bridges minutes then, but Brunson and Hart want to play. Mitch wants more minutes. McBride wants to cut, wants to play. Who are the players complaining? I don't think he's complaining though, Nick Yak. I think he's advocating for we still have plenty of basketball left to play. And we want guys to have fresh legs, stamina to be able to withstand the playoffs as you keep going in each round. And advocating for we have talented guys on our bench who, if you're up by 25 and it's 5-6 minutes left in the fourth, why do you still have Brunson and Cat and OG in the game? Why you still have them in the game? You could sit them down. You could put the bench guys, the C string player guys that you normally play. I think that's more where he's coming from. It's not an angle of I'm complaining, I'm doing a Fournier, I'm doing, I'm not here complaining. I'm just saying you could chill and not every game we got to play 47, 48 minutes, 46 minutes. Some games maybe play certain guys 40 minutes. You don't have to play guys that many minutes when you have other guys on that team who you can give them more than 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes to play. And yes, the bench has looked good since Mitch has came back. I 100% agree. Nostalgic Nick, salute, salute, salute. Diva salute said, salute to Lady and the Chef and the chat, missing you all. My take is, I'm assuming she's referring to Mikal. He's not complaining. I take it as shoring up a spot in the playoffs and having fresh legs as an injured and depleted roster. Agreed. Yeah, I don't take it as Mikal complaining at all. And that's what I was saying. Shout out to you, Nick Yak. He's not complaining. He's looking at it in the long run. You got to play smarter. We're playing with certain missing pieces, and this Knicks team is more than capable of getting past the first and second round. And that's the goal, especially coming from the front office. There's a little bit of pressure there, like we need y'all to get out the second round. It's not the end all be all, but Mikal is not complaining. He's just like, listen, you got some talented guys on that bench, and the bench needs to learn. They need to get in that game more to be ready for them playoffs when you may need 1 or 2 of them to come in, 3 of them to come in, and give the guys, the starters, a chance to rest and catch their breath. But he's looking in the long run for when the playoffs start. We need guys to have that second win. We need guys to have fresh legs. We need guys to be ready. Nostalgic Nick said, glad Mikal said it on that dinosaur coach. Sterling Smith, salute. Said, salute, lady. Mikal is right. Yeah. I think that conversation Mikal had with Tibbs, I think that was a good thing. And it helps that he had a good game yesterday and on Monday because he's been stinking up the joint a little bit. But I'm still giving him grace. But it doesn't need to come from Brunson. I don't think it needs to necessarily come from a captain. I've been saying for a while now, who is being the vocal leader on this team? I've seen Brunson doing a better job while he's facilitating the ball, speaking to guys. I've seen guys speaking as of late, speaking up, the communication's there. They're still finding their identity. But what I'm saying is, who's going to have the balls to call out other players, the balls to call out Tibbs? It's not about putting anybody down. It's not about trying to have the last word or complaining and bitching. And it's not about any of that. The goal is to win and to get better. So you need someone on this team who's going to be like, yo, you know what I mean? We got to tighten up. Or listen, we got more basketball left to play. You got what, 17, 18 games left of the late half of the season. This last leg that you have left. And then you still have to be ready for the playoffs. So even if you have a healthy, which the Knicks will have a healthy roster going into the playoffs, last year the Knicks were winded. They were giving everything they got to run up and down that floor against Indiana because they on exhausted so much energy in the first round against Philadelphia. Lord knows that one took the win out of them. And then by the time they got to Indiana, game by game, they were just, between injuries and just guys look so fatigued. I'm like, what is going on? I don't think anybody on that Knicks team is complaining about minutes. Guys know what it is when you play for Tibbs. But I do think that Mikal is right in saying that you have, and he's also trying to say to Tibbs, if you have a guy like Deuce, you have a guy like Shaman, and they have a hot hand, why are you pulling them out the game? Leave them in. Give them a little extra minutes. They have a hot hand this game. They're playing well. So, you need guys who's going to speak up and say something. And if we can get Mikal Bridges and OG both to play really well for us in games, man, that's going to be amazing. Heck of a team to get better. And what a time to start peaking, right? This is the time that you want to see the Knicks really start to peak and get better. Why not now? We haven't had games of both Mikal and OG having a really good game. I think if one game. And not to mention the last two games, the Knicks have had 5-6 guys in double figures. The assists are up. The ball movement is up. The bench looks better. They have Mitchell Robinson back. This team needs to learn how to play and gel and move the ball, move without the ball while not having Jalen Brunson there. Because looking at the offense in the last two games, very fluid. The floor is spaced out. Guys are moving. Cat's moving the ball. Like, the ball is just moving. He's getting his threes off at the top of the key. He's shooting threes again. He's getting the touches. You don't have to wait for Brunson. Mikal, you could run the pick and roll. Deuce, you could run the pick and roll. Get Mitchell Robinson some more touches. Just the attack, the energy, the grittiness is there. So I want to see the Knicks capitalize not having Brunson there. And this is no shade on Brunson. I love Brunson. But the Knicks need to learn how to play without him there. You got to learn how to hold the fort down, find your energy, and then when he comes in, I'm sure he's watching the games. This could teach him how to, Um, Not necessarily get his assist up, because I don't think it's just about that, but really paying attention to the offense and where he can be better. So we only playing 9 in the playoffs. Yeah, I'd rather be 9 than 7 or 8. And who, listen, even if Tibbs is only playing 9 in the playoffs, as Tibbs always say, guys need to stay ready. But it's good to still have guys playing in this last leg of the season, as well as being prepared for if something happens and somebody has to come in the first round or the second round. Not only will, yeah, guys that have fresh legs, but it won't be like, damn, they haven't played, since February or March. Like, you know what I mean? We have guys who played. So yeah. Yeah, we did run out of players because of the injuries. But if the Knicks are healthy this year, what I'm saying is that the problem also was with last year, it wasn't just the injuries. The Knicks have a very heavy um starters, and then the bench. And I'm not talking about as of late, but prior to as of last couple of games, the bench wasn't really able to do anything for this team. So Tibbs has to just play the starters, play the starters, play the starters, even in the postseason. But now that the bench is waking up, the bench is coming alive. I mean, you couldn't tell me that the bench guys weren't playing well the last 2 games. I was thoroughly impressed by what I saw. Just guys just moving, not waiting for the ball to come, just making an extra pass. The passes were quick. The hustle. OG just having active hands, man. His defense has been excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So yeah, I'm confident, and I know that Tibbs is not going to play 10 guys. I know that. I know Tibbs doesn't do that in the playoffs. Sterling Smith salutes that guys like Hukporty get hurt because of not playing, then needing to play, but not used to being on the court for extended minutes. You have a bench that has players, they can play. Yeah, yeah, I think Hukporty's injury was unfortunate. Um, I don't know if it was because of not being on the court for extended minutes, but it's unfortunate. That one really, like, you know, hurt to hear and see, because he was just starting to get his minutes up, and that sucks. And I like him. For me, he's like a huge asset for this team. I'm hoping that he can come back at some point in the playoffs. And I know Jalen Brunson will be reevaluated. It's supposed to be on 21st next Friday, so we'll see. Yeah, Mitch, once his minutes goes up, I'm not rushing for Mitch to get more minutes, though. I want him to ease into things. Mitch effect number 2 defense per 100 possessions, with Mitch only averaging 16 minutes. Wait till he plays 24. Yeah, for sure. Mitchell Robinson has been a huge asset on his team so far with his presence back. I've seen several possessions where he's gotten the rebound in cases where we needed a rebound, where he's gotten a block when we need a block. He's putting a body, he's rebounding, he's the defense, he's not leaving his feet quick. I like what I'm seeing. And I'm happy he's back. But I don't want him rushed into higher minutes just yet. I'd rather them give him more minutes when we get to the playoffs. And Brunson, take all the time you need, because they'll need you for the playoffs as well. We averaging 27 assists per game. Ball moves well on this team. Yeah. The ball seems to be moving a lot more. It seems to be moving better with Brunson out. If you guys have noticed that. Seems to be moving a lot more free now that Brunson is out. But that's a good thing. Guys are not playing in the background. Guys are not standing around waiting for them to get the ball. They're moving, they're cutting, they're, cutting down, sneaking down the other end of the basket. I'm liking the basketball IQ that's happening, the flow. I just want to see the Knicks keep that up. So we'll see. Shout out to the chat and shout out to the replay gang as well. Thank you guys for joining me. Wonder Woman, Paul Lavana, Space Ghost. Who else? MBM, Nick Yak. Shout out to Divalox, Nostalgia Nick, Sterling Smith. Shout out to you, those of you who are watching and you're not in the chat. And shout out to the replay gang as well. You guys help run up the numbers. Paula said, I think everyone notices that's how it should be, ball movement. Yeah, I agree. And you notice the assists are up. The Knicks are getting the points in the paint as well. So, yeah. But yeah, shout out to everybody. I'm sure those of you will probably be watching the Queen's Court later. They come on at 9. And always a great show. Shout out to Steph, Jeff, Ajay, and Jarrell. And yeah, I'll see you guys over the weekend. I'll be talking about that Warriors game, and then I'll be giving my predictions for next week. The Knicks have a ton of games next week with a back-to-back on Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, we'll see how that offense looks on Saturday. And yeah, talk to you guys